final closing thoughts?
Yeah, my final thought is that in the process of being involved in this whole area in the last 7 years, I've found the most useful thing has been dialogue like this, and I really want to thank you, Secretary Merrill, for opening it up. I think this is the beginning of a great process, and discussion is so key here, not to just charge ahead without the dialogue started. And I believe you'll probably find a lot of people coming forth that have things to offer and add to the discussion. So I just congratulate you all on being here and being part of it, and thank you all for that, and taking the time and caring about the integrity of the ballot. So, thank you.
Susan Sweeney is President and co-founder of the Overseas Vote Foundation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ron or Best, how about you?
Thanks. Yeah, I'd like to second Susan's thank you to everybody for organizing this panel. I think voting is so important to us all, and making sure that all these issues get aired, debated, and discussed is critical for making the right choices. Three things I guess I would say in terms of recommendations for the state of Connecticut. I think that paper ballots are the right foundation for a voting system. Still, we don't know how to make internet secure. Well, making an internet-based system is skating on thin ice, and auditability is a key requirement for any system. So whatever voting systems you explore, make sure that you can audit what they do, that they're not hidden behind some closed box or some piece of hardware that's on the internet that you can't explore. So those are the paper ballots, staying away from the internet, and auditability are key guidelines for the state of Connecticut as for the rest of us.
Ron Urbess from MIT, thank you very much for being here. Alex Holderman?
Well, I too would like to thank you for organizing this panel, and I think it's been a really fantastic discussion. I think the important thing in the voting process, the most important thing, is transparency, is allowing people to know how their votes are being cast, that how their votes are being recorded, that their votes are being recorded correctly, and that the entire process is being done in a way that ensures the security and integrity of the vote. As Ron said, that means today, with today's technology, that you're going to want to count votes on paper. We don't know a better way to do it today. As soon as we can get internet voting to work in a way that is secure and accessible and preserves the privacy of ballots, I'm going to be one of the first people who wants to see that happen. But that is truly decades away at this point, and I think Connecticut would be very wise to avoid steering that course for now, and but to watch the technology. I know Connecticut uses optical scan technology for its paper votes, which is the state-of-the-art technology right now. So you're already in a really great place there. Technology can be used in voting to make it more secure, more accessible, more practical, but it has to be used in the right ways. And internet voting is not the right way today.
Alex Holderman from the University of Michigan, thank you so much. Alex Schwartzman?
I also thank everybody who participated in organizing this panel. I think we need to have more of such open discussions, and while I certainly acknowledge and support the need of people, of American citizens affected by UOCAVA and MOVE Acts, but we have to be very cautious in the way that we enfranchise them in this process. I think that taking small steps, perhaps allowing electronic delivery of ballots, but return of voter-verified paper ballots should be considered first. Longer term, a lot of research is required, and academicians should become more involved, and many are. But the attention is still not at a level where the academic community would view it as an important area of research. So I wish more of that is done.
Alex Schwartzman from UConn Center for Voting Technology Research, thank you very much. And finally, Secretary Tennant, thank you very much for joining us. What is your final thoughts?
Well, it's an honor to be here in Connecticut, and I appreciate the invitation and to be able to explain where we're coming from in many aspects. And folks also have to realize that secretaries and county clerks are on the front lines, and states are also under requirements that come from the federal government as well. So when you talk about paper ballots, that seems like that's so easy, but you have to be ADA compliant, and you have to be able to serve people with disabilities and have them to be able to vote on their own. And that's been one success, especially in West Virginia, when I have a cousin who is blind and says, Natalie, this is great, the first time I get to vote by myself, because I've used a machine. Not internet, but I've used a machine. So that's one aspect. And remember what I said in the beginning, the MOVE Act is requiring that option to be able to have it electronically delivered. So how do you satisfy that requirement of MOVE? So you need to make sure that those compliances are put in place as well. You know, following up on what the professor, as I continue to look through what we required of the vendors. They had to involve and expose their mathematical procedures and their cryptographic protocols that would reveal if the ballots had been tampered with. So, you know, we continue to go through that, and this is what Denise and I will sit down and perhaps any lawmakers who would like to see the approach that we have, and that's what needs to be done. That's my suggestion coming from here, is to say, let's meet common ground, because as I hear folks talk that say, no, don't do this at all, just do straight paper ballots, I can understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, instead of just saying no, 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 what are you willing to do to move it forward? What type of understanding are we all willing to come to meet that common ground, to really succeed in what they are looking for, a yay or nay, or, you know, we'll do this part of it for this part of a community or population. So that's where I come from all of this. I appreciate you all listening to me and inviting me to be here.
This is a little bit more like a WVU Yukon game than perhaps I expected. This is very
We're on the same side.
You're on the same
Go
team.
Mountaineers.
Natalie Tennant is the Secretary of State for West Virginia. Thank you very much. I want to thank Secretary of State Merrill. I want to thank CTN and CCSU. Secretary Merrill, do you want to come back up?
Well, first of all, thank you so much to John for moderating. Many thanks to the panel. Very spirited and enlightening discussion. Special thanks to my friend Secretary Tennant from West Virginia for her very thoughtful approach to this. And I look forward to working with her some more. With some of, I know I have some legislative friends in the audience who are also interested in these issues. And of course, I want to mention our co-sponsors for this event. Of course, it's my office, but it's also the State Elections Enforcement Commission, the Veterans Affairs Committee, the Central Connecticut State University Political Science Department, and we have heard from them this evening, the Connecticut National Guard, and the Connecticut Citizenship Fund, which is a fund that I have established for purposes of having forums like this one. I think what I take away from this is a conversation that's going to keep going on. Technology is changing, and as people know in this state, I am very big on improving our technology in the area of electoral reform. I think its time has come. We are not exactly on the cutting edge in Connecticut. I have to say, it was kind of a shock to me when I learned that many of the registrars in our state still don't have email. So what I see here is that we have a long way to go. And I also, as a former appropriations chair, I'm seeing a few dollar signs here somewhere when I realize that our infrastructure here in Connecticut for elections is probably quite far from being able to deliver on something like this to begin with, but that there are steps that we can and should be taking. And one of the things I really have taken from this meeting, and I think I heard a challenge from Susan in particular, that we need to be paying more attention to outreach to our overseas and military voters. It sounds like we don't have a very acceptable record of participation in this area, and that is of great concern to me. I take that very seriously. Naturally, we should be doing everything we can to make it as easy as possible, and I particularly appreciate the Secretary's passion on this subject. And this is something we have to work on. I think it might prompt us at least to look at online voter registration, simplifying our forms and processes that we use for absentee ballots, particularly for overseas voters. That certainly sounds like a priority to me. So I think there's a lot of work to be done, much food for thought. And again, thanks to all panelists and to John for helping us with this tonight. It will be televised later this week, and hopefully lots and lots of people will participate in what I think will be an ongoing discussion in Connecticut. So thank you very much for those of you who attended tonight, and drive home safely. It's raining out there.